My name is Grant Browning, and I'm the founder of one of Toronto's largest Caribbean media groups. With over 20 years of branding and marketing, you can guarantee that I've met some pretty amazing people. My biggest pet peeve is hearing people refer to successful entrepreneurs as overnight successes. But the truth is, there are no overnight successes, just entrepreneurs. Real entrepreneurs with big dreams and a desire to make a difference. They're willing to overcome all the odds just for a chance to taste success. That's exactly what this show is about. Business, success, strategies, the dreams, the struggles, and the victories. We're here to pack a hard punch and knock our dreams into reality by bringing you real stories and experiences right here on The Gloves Are Off. Welcome to another episode of The Gloves Are Off with myself, Grant Browning. I am the founder and CEO of Carib 101 Media Corp, which is the umbrella company to Toronto Caribbean, I was going to say Business Social, Toronto Caribbean newspaper, the Carib 101 Radio, my TCN TV, which you're watching on right now, and of course we also have the Business Social as well. And I have with me a very special guest. It's that time again. It sounds kind of wrong, but it's that time again.
What sounds wrong?
It's that time of the month.
It's
that time again. Every month we do one episode where we bring in Trish, because she's not only my wife, but she's also my business partner. She takes care of a certain part of the business, and I take care of the other. And we've always had couples over the years that have tried to get into business or have gotten into business that always look up to us and ask us a lot of questions. And when we did the first show, we had tons of response and people were just loving what we were doing. So we decided to make this a monthly thing. So it's that time of month again for Trish.
Thank you so much for sharing my business. And no, it's not that time of the month as yet.
I didn't even mean it that way.
Oh,
but
really?
Anyways,
well, I know him better.
So today we have a really awesome subject. I typed in, just before we went on, I typed in couples in business. And so anyways, I got a lot of people's opinions, and we'll just leave them at opinions. So today in the episode, we're actually going to go through some of this, talk about some personal experiences, and then at the end, we're going to give you 6 keys to success as couple-preneurs, because through our experiences, we've seen the highs and the lows, both personally and professionally. And there's been a lot of times where you almost feel like you want to give up, but you see past it. And there's certain ways to get past those situations. And Trish can attest to a lot of things. It's very difficult being in business with me and being married to me. So I admit it.
So you get double whammy.
I admit it. I'm very special. Anyways, so Trish, did you have anything you wanted to start with? Because you always say I talk too much and you're just here to look at the camera. So, and Chelsea is saying yeah.
Now he puts me on the spot, but this was all you. I was only told yesterday that I was going to be your guest again today. So I'm going to let you take the lead, and I'm going to do what I'm good at, just adding content to him.
So here's what happens. So Trish is actually, she takes care of the sales. She takes care of all the, basically the finance part of the business. I take care of the development, the marketing, putting everything together. I'm the jack of all trades when it comes to the business. Today I'm actually exhausted. At the beginning of the week, there was no weekend because we spent the whole time building a kitchen in the office here. So
do we have any photos that we're going to put up, show people what we did?
No, we're not going to put up photos. Chelsea, how come I can't see myself anymore? You keep losing me. I need to see. I need a complex. Like, I got an ego going on here, man. Come on. Also, if you guys want to chime in, if you guys have any input today, feel free to give us a call. The number is right up there, 647-931-4701. You can chime in on the conversation. We'd love to hear from you. Be sure to subscribe. I hope you stay through the whole episode. So yeah, so we're talking about couples in business, and it's really interesting, some of these articles that that I found. Both of these are on Forbes, and there's stuff I agree with and there's stuff I don't agree with, and there's stuff so one of the things it says in here is married couples in business together have extreme opinions when asked about it. It's either the best thing that happened to them or the worst thing. Very few couples, if any at all, are indifferent about running a business with their spouse. So it goes on to say in here that the next paragraph talks about either there's two end results. The first one being that they go on to selling the business later on, becoming successful, and writing a book on how to run a successful business with your spouse. And the very complete opposite of what could happen is they end up with a long-winded divorce, battling about who did what in a business and who deserves to get more, and fighting over the kids and everything else. I think that both of these can happen, but if you know the right tricks and the right things to get past, different tips on getting past, then you can get through a lot of these things, because it is very difficult. And one of the things it says in here is it gives how many tips here? It has 5 pointers, and the pointers are to be equally committed to the business.
Yes, and I think that's like one of the major things, because if you're not and you don't understand the level of commitment that both person have, that's where a lot of the problems stem from. I know it's something that even we struggle with, because Grant is committed like 500% to what we do, and I would equate my commitment
1,000%.
Okay, so 1,000%. I would equate my commitment to the business a little bit less than that. So let's just say it's 900% for the sake of, going to the 1,000 range here. So I'm not at the same level of commitment. And sometimes we do butt heads, or when you're working late, or, you're going to pull X amount of hours over top because you need to accomplish something. And if I choose to go to bed or do something differently, you'd look at me and be like, well, we need to get this done. Like, why are you so lackadaisical about it? So I do agree with you. The level of commitment needs to be there. If not, it's one of the reasons why.
Now, I want to clarify one thing before we go any further. We're exposing a lot of personal information, and it's
but
always,
I think it's
no,
good.
it's
this
good.
is how people are gonna really
But
see what we do.
it's always interesting at the office, and Chelsea swears she's going to run around with a behind-the-scenes camera to see what happens.
And then you guys will have a reality show.
I want to put a disclaimer out. We, in no means, do we say that we do anything perfect. We're figuring it out along the way, like every other couple that are in business. But we've been through a lot of experiences over almost 12 years of being in business and being married together, because I met Trish because of the business that I had at the time. And because of that, she came in and we built a relationship and business together at the same time. So it's something that kind of flourished from something that was already there, and it just blossomed from there. So our experience is probably a little bit different, but at the same time, because of the experiences we've had, it's helped us catapult our business and who we are today because of certain things that we've learned over the years too. So number one thing is being equally committed to business. What it says here is successful partners are equally devoted to their business. Yes, one may appear to be the outward driver, but in reality, both partners are dedicating equal time and energy to growing their business. Sorry, am I laughing? They feed each other power and energy in their own respective ways, but if one is constantly trying to grow the company while the other is content. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. With stagnancy and complacency, resentment and anger will build, and the marriage or business or both may actually fail. I can agree with that. I disagree too, because one of the things that we're going to talk about is understanding, which is the next tip that they have here, is understanding each other's roles, because everybody's role will play a different part in the company, and some will actually require more time investment versus the other role. And if you understand each other's roles and understand the number one thing is to support each other. So if you understand the support that you have to give in business, then from there you're able to get past number one of being equally committed, because perfect thing, which was the original subject that I wanted to talk about today, was on the weekend when I had to be here. We were here till midnight, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and the number one thing you need to have is the backing of your family. And Trish understood that I was doing something above and beyond what was required for the business, and being here because we wanted to get an end result, and both Trish and the family stayed here and offered support. And it's not support where yes, she did get down. She was painting. She was getting dirty. Her head hurt because she had cabinets stuck to the top of her head while she was trying to balance for me and everything like that. But when she wasn't needed, she was also here to offer support, whether it was, hey, you're tired, you need a coffee or whatever. I think when, as a business owner and a couple-preneur, when you know the other person supports you in that way, it gives you that strength to be able to go past and move on.
I'm getting emotional.
Oh. And at that moment, we're taking a break. No.
But it's funny because we don't talk about stuff like that, because for me, it's like, this is automatic. This is what we do. This is always what we've done, whether it's now or, 8-9 years ago when the kids were not in the picture. It's what we did, because I remember staying up until 4 a.m. with you when you used to work on websites, right? Because that was needed at the time. Or I remember going out in the parking lot of nightclubs and flyering cars to promote our brand, careab101.com, when we first started. So for me, it's just something that I automatically do. And listening to you recap that and letting me know that you appreciate it, it's very emotional. Like, I was all teary-eyed just now.
She needed Kleenex.
Yes, I need Kleenex. Maybe we need a Kleenex sponsor.
So I would say the number one thing is you really have to know what you're getting into. Understand not just the commitment, but understand your personal commitment as well, because it might not always be just your role in the business. And understand that when you get into business as a couple, there's no such thing as having individual roles. You don't have a job, right? This is your business. This is your baby. And if you're doing it as a couple, Trish came in, we started business, and then she kind of phased out because she had to do other things, and then she ended up phasing back in and really acquiring her role in sales 2007, 2008. It was maybe about a year where she was running her own thing for quite a while, and then from there she ended up coming back and merging with what I was currently doing. But you always got to understand the time commitment and the support that you have to do together. And I'm going to make sure we're on time today, so we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Discover the incredible India.
Welcome back to The Gloves Are Off. This episode, we're actually talking about couples in business, couple-preneurs. We do this once a month, both myself and my wife, who is my business partner. We've been in business and married for almost 12 years, and we've seen the good, we've seen the bad, and we've made it through a lot of troubled times. And troubled times also included, we've talked about this before, but I mean, literally going broke. We built something that fell apart, and we had to build it from nothing again, and that was only 6 years ago. And distractions, Chelsea. And today we're here to offer some support as well as 6 key tips for couples that are in business, couple-preneurs. And hopefully this helps you guys out. We've had a lot of people ask us a lot of different things on how we actually operate. Every day of our lives literally is about our business, our family business. Our family is involved, and we devote and dedicate every day of our lives to helping benefit and try to empower the community that we're involved in. And it's a lot. You go through a lot because we put ourselves out there publicly. You also get a lot of people that come into your lives, and it could be very stressful sometimes because everybody has influence in some way somehow. So anyways, number 2, according to this, is make sure you guys are in roles that are suited for each other. It says here, oftentimes when a young couple start in business together, they end up in their respective roles, whether they like it or not. If at some point one or both of the partners realize they are not suited for the position, the couple has to make the decision to either switch roles or step away. Okay, so... I don't agree with that, and the reason why I don't agree with that is everybody has gifts, and this is something that that happened to us literally when Trish came back into the business. Trish came from a customer service type of thing, type of industry, and when Trish first came back into the business and started to work full time with me, she decided she was going to do sales. I've had years of training in sales and marketing and branding, and I have a gift of being able to see people's gifts and strengths. And Trish at first did not enjoy sales. She did not enjoy trying to do what she did. But at the same time, I saw her potential and saw that she was very natural and good at what she did. So because of it, I encouraged her and pushed her as much as I could to become who she is today. And because of her stubbornness, she made sure that she would push forward. She made sure that she would be able to make it who she is today. And because of it, she's one of the best sales reps, sales managers that I know that's out there, because through thick and thin, stop crying. Through thick and thin, and when I say thick and thin, there are times where, I mean, she's come to me 2 days prior to print, and she's like, my God, like, so and so pulled out, or this happened or that happened, and I just look at her because I understand roles, and for me, there's no excuses. So for me, if I'm sick, I still have to do production on the paper. If I'm sick, the paper still has to be delivered. If I'm sick and I have responsibilities and commitments, I still have to follow through. So to me, I'm an excuse eliminator, right? I don't believe in excuses, and that's kind of the attitude that Trish had to put up with and take on herself. And because of it, today she now comes to me and she's like, listen, like, this and this pulled out, or this happened or whatever, but don't worry, this is what I'm doing. And because of that, she's awesome. So I agree to disagree with that point, because yes, you need to know your roles. However, if it doesn't suit you at the beginning, you guys walk into a business together and you're committed, you have to follow through. I believe in follow through.
Well, oftentimes when you're now starting up, you don't have a lot of money to hire people to do certain things, or you don't always find the right people to do certain things. So you have to learn to become good at whatever needs to get done. So at the beginning, you might, be doing it poorly, but with practice, you start getting better and better. Like, I mean, I don't know how to hang cabinets, but I figured out how to balance it on my head this weekend because I was too short.
Trish's side job is she's going to be in the circus soon. So.
I was too short to, I wasn't strong enough to hold them up. I was too short to even hold them up. We figured out we figured it out. So, I mean, I think that when you're starting out, maybe 2-3 years from now, we could have just hired somebody to come and install cabinets, but we didn't have that option. Thinking how much it ended up costing us and how much time we spent here, I did ask you was it worth it, or should we have just hired someone to do it? Because it did cost money putting it in at the end of the day, right? But
I mean, the cost that we saved personally was something that we can take that money and reinvest it back in our business and reinvest it into marketing and advertising. So at the end of the day, because I mean, a lot of people, you hear the typical business coaches, no offense, I have lots of friends that are business coaches, but They'll come in and they'll say, "Oh, if you can make so much money per hour and you can hire someone for this, you should do that." I agree, but when you're building a business, and this is something for new businesses that are out there, if you are building a business, you need to try and look at the most cost-effective ways of doing things. And sometimes those cost-effective ways is going to include you losing sleep because this is what you're good at or what you know how to do. And if you do it that way, then you will save the money. You might lose some time and sleep, and it's a time investment, but you can now allot that money that would have taken to pay someone else to do it and invest it back in your business somewhere else that might be lacking. Agreed?
Yep, agree. Like, I mean, that is something that I had to learn over time because I come from a background where you kind of do it yourself. So, I would go clean my car. Now I don't do that anymore because you've looked at me and said, well, can you pay someone to go and do that for you? And you can go sell some advertising.
And that I agree with. But however, we've put ourselves in a situation now where we've wrapped all our vehicles and you can't run them through car washes. And my truck is 10 feet tall and it doesn't fit in any car wash.
So now we're back to washing our cars. Because we have no other choice.
So if anybody knows anybody that can come to the house and actually wash your vehicles, please hit me up because I really would like to find... He's unreliable. Anyways, go back to the first tip again. Anyway, so number 3, they're saying having the same vision for the company. And I'm not even going to read that. I agree with it. Actually, this is just because you're committed to spending the rest of your lives together. It doesn't mean you have to have the same goals or vision of your company. If one wants to remain a mom and pop shop while the other wants to take their business internationally, you've got a huge problem. Agreed. It's impossible for a company to evolve when the visions are not aligned. Agreed. And this is something because we've known lots of couples that are in business, and we've also known couples that aren't in business, and that's even, to me, that's even a bigger struggle because the couples that aren't in business won't necessarily understand the mission and the vision and the direction that the other person would want to go if they're starting a business. So if Trish was, say, doing something else and she was watching what I'm doing, she would not understand the time commitment. She would not understand the financial investment because she wouldn't understand where the company is going. She also wouldn't see the potential breakthroughs that are already happening. So essentially, if you are a couple in business, you're actually blessed. That's the way I could see it, because if you're a couple in business, number one thing you need to know is you need to be on the same level with each other. You got to understand each other's visions, and if you do that, us as a team, I mean, I would say the last 6 months has been extremely busy and we haven't been able to do that. But usually we try and sit down, even as a family, to try and talk to each other, even the kids now because they're getting older and they're able to understand more. And we try and talk to them and tell them about our goals and dreams and where we want to go. And I think it's very important that you do that, because if you don't do that and you don't understand, then that's where your friction starts to happen.
Yeah, because if everyone's not on the same page, they don't understand why someone else is working that hard. I mean, our kids, we start explaining things to the children now because they're 3 and 9. Well, Colton doesn't understand, but Michaela does, and she's been out for this summer. She's only been out one time, and we have good intentions. We have good intentions of doing stuff, but like time is not allowing it right now. And I do take time off when I can, but I just don't see that it's feasible in the next 2 to 3 weeks to even take the time off to go do anything prior to school being open. So we have to openly communicate with the kids and explain the situation to them.
Our 3-year-old, or almost 4, he's almost 4. Holy crap. Our almost 4-year-old, who just freaked me out, is understanding right now the idea of business, because when he identifies logos now. So when he sees something coming on TV, or if he hears a voice on the radio and he hears Toronto Caribbean or TCN TV, he says, "Daddy, that's ours. That's ours." Right? He doesn't fully understand, but he understands. And the whole point of that is getting your family involved is probably one of the most important things. Let them see, identify, understand what you're going through and what you're doing, because at the end, our 9-year-old girl is now becoming an entrepreneur. right? And she understands it now, and she's figuring out ways that she can make things, and with those things she's making, she's able to try and go out and she wants to sell them, right?
Or she provides a service and she wants to get paid for it. So if you ask her to clean up a mess, she expects payment. If you ask her to sweep the floor or help do something, she expects payment because she understands that I'm providing a service and therefore I need payment for it.
So we're running out of time again. Number 4, respect each other. Have you ever come across a married couple that deeply respected each other in their business, but had zero respect for each other personally? Now, I'm not going to go through that whole paragraph, but that's very big. Now, I agree. Respect is a huge thing. And I would think that would also underlie the same thing as having the same vision and mission with each other. Because in order to respect each other, you have to understand where your spouse is coming from. You have to understand their thought process. I would have to say that Trish is probably the best. There's only one other, actually there's 2 people now in the office that understand my thought process and of who I am, but Trish is the best. She knows when I'm pissed and when I'm happy and who agitates me and why.
But I would hope so if I'm your wife as well.
No, for sure. But what I'm saying is it's extremely important to be like, that's the level of respect you need to have for each other, because if you don't have that, then if I'm upset, then she'll take offense to it. You understand? Yeah, you get what I'm saying? So with that, we're going to pause quickly. We're going to take a break. We're trying to stay on time, and we'll be right back.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
And we are back. We need to run camera during break. Like, I mean, if you had to see right now, I was relaxed, just chilling out. We're talking. Anyways, welcome back. This episode is geared towards couple-preneurs, couples that are in business, and we are talking about 6 keys to running a successful business as a couple. So just before we came back, we were talking about, or just before we went to break, sorry, we were talking about respecting each other. The number 5 point in this article actually talks about knowing how to shut off. And they're saying that running a business is difficult and stressful enough. Add marriage to it, that's quite a challenge. When a couple knows how to turn off business, switch and enjoy their personal lives, they are one step ahead of the game. But unfortunately, most couples that work together don't know how to shut off. And it goes on and on and on. I agree, but I also disagree. And here's why. A lot of times what happens, and right now this is something that we're experiencing more and more here, is because our business is growing so fast and because we're almost understaffed where we're taking on more responsibility with each other, because we run multiple companies, even for myself, the demand is becoming more and more where I don't always get time to talk to Trish. She's my business partner, and sometimes the only time that we can talk is at home, or the discussions that happen there. So when you have a family business, we're going to talk about at the end here, obviously, our keys to running a successful business as a couple and what can help you in building your business. But I think if you know each other well enough, Trish understands that if something happens at work, or if there's a confrontation that happens at work where she does something and it absolutely pisses me off, or if I do something and it upsets her, that stays here. We acknowledged that a long time ago, and that was something that even you had to adjust at the beginning when we first moved to the office and had employees and stuff like that. It was very difficult at first because we came here with the couple mentality that it was just the two of us being in business. So it was an adjustment, right?
Well, not only that, the way we would talk to each other is very different than if you were my boss and I didn't had a personal relationship with you. So if I was upset with you, there's no whole like I would not keep that in. I would tell you no, I think this, and this, because I'm very passionate about getting my points across. And sometimes if people are looking at us like, oh my God, there's a blowout at the office, they're
and that's just normal life.
They're at it. But then when I leave the office and I go home, I don't carry that with me. It's like, yeah, that happened because I was like, no, I didn't agree with something you said, and that was for work. But when we get home, I would still cook you dinner. I'd still do your laundry. I'd still go to bed with you.
A bowl of cornflakes sometimes is dinner.
So I mean, that we leave that at the office and we go home. On the other hand, if we still need to discuss stuff for the office because we forgot to do it during the day, we would still take care of it. So it doesn't completely stop, but we don't allow what happens in our, if there's something that is negative that happened during the day at work with us because we didn't agree with something, we don't take that home with us and let that affect our personal relationship. Well, here's the thing,
is that the person that probably wrote this article for Forbes is probably someone who is either young and inexperienced with owning a business, or they have a job and they've never run a business in their life and they're giving their 2 cents on what's happening. But the truth of the matter is that when you open a business, a lot of times, and we've seen this, and we're going out in a different subject right now, but we have seen this so many times that people come in almost with the job mentality where I work from 9 to 5, and then 5 o'clock I shut off from my business.
I used to do that, though. At the beginning, I used to do that. I'm like, yeah, it's 6 o'clock. I have to go, right?
But it's virtually like, when you start a business, if you want to have success and you want quick success, you need to learn one thing, and that is 2 things. You need to be dedicated, and you need to become obsessed with what you're doing. And people frown on the obsessed word. They're scared of it. But when I say obsessed, I mean obsessed. Like, you need to understand the whole industry you're in. And the only way you're going to do that is to really get involved. Now, if you're getting involved in the business with your family and your wife, now what's going to happen is those conversations, because of that, are going to carry over to home. We're eating dinner and we're like, what about this? What about that? But at the same time, you're laughing and you're joking. There is conversation that happens that can't happen at work. So turning off is virtually impossible. And it's just the nature of the game. You can't turn it off. And yes, there are times where as spouses in business, as couples in business, we do get into heated discussions, because the thing is that sometimes you have different thought processes on how things should be done. And there have been moments where, yes, you get upset, it carries over for 12 hours, and that means that it also carries over into home. But you need to recognize and allow your spouse to have their space. So if they're upset, allow them. She might need time to get over things longer than the other person, or I might need time to get over things. And Trish is good at that. She will just leave me alone. I go and do things. My thing to process things is I have to do things physical, like build a kitchen. So, but it's the way I process things that I don't know why. I'm a freak of nature. It's just the way I am. Now, second article was even more interesting. So the title is The Business of Love, Couple-preneurs. So now what it says here is men often marry in order for their wives to run. So typically what the article is talking about is, this is nothing new. Couple-preneurs or couples in business have always been this way. Back in the day, men actually used to marry their spouses. They would look for spouses that were of certain qualities to be able to run the farm, look after kids, do all these different things. So nothing has changed. We've just shifted into more of an industrial or even now a technological age where obviously the man and the spouse has to go out and work. Now, what it talks about here is that, and I looked up just to double check, but there's over 500,000 new businesses that get new startups every year in North America. And out of those, it says that there's a certain percentage that are actually couples or couple-preneurs that are in business. Now, it also talks about similar qualities of the great balancing act of love and business. One of the most popular couple-preneurs in the industry, it talks about them. But then it also says tips to save yourself. Number one tip is to talk openly. Make sure that you understand that business is business. I agree with that. We were just talking about that. The second thing it talks about is don't fight in front of your employees. Take it outside. This seems obvious, but it may not be.
I mean, I don't agree with that, because when we sit down at a boardroom table and we're pitching ideas and we're talking about, running an event and what are some of the things that we should do or some of the entertainment that we should do, if I'm not on board with it, I will tell you, no, I don't agree with that. We need to look at something else.
Well,
there's no shutting that down and discussing it in private. And
Trish has no off switch. We figured that out. But typically what happens, I mean, that's a boardroom. If you're sitting there and you're talking, conversations can be heated from any angle. But I think what it's talking about here is don't argue about typical stuff and definitely don't argue about personal matters in your business.
Well, see, I don't know what that is all about, because I would never do that. Like, there's no way I'd be like, hey, you did not make the bed before you left the house today, or why is your towel on the floor? Like, I would never say something like that.
She saves that for home, and I get it. So number 3 is have this one is like really have a contingency plan if the marriage fails. You can never anticipate divorce. Well, some people can. You can anticipate divorce, but that is not the point. You need a prenup for business, and do not try this yourself. Get a lawyer involved.
Well, you know what? That might be good advice, because if you know ahead of time and you set out the rules ahead of time, that might be a good thing. Because before I married you, I asked you a couple of questions, and I hold you up until this day to those answers. So if you shifted on me, like if you're shifting, you are breaking your promise.
But that's personal, but that's not business. What they're talking about is business.
Same with the business. I think it might be a good idea. We didn't do this, so I'm feeling it's a good idea, because when I ask you prior to getting married if you have pets and what you would do in these situations.
Here we go, the pets thing.
Yeah, because you're trying to bring that back up and you're trying to get the kids involved, and I'm very strict with the no pet rule. So if you knew ahead of time what the plan is, you can't come back and say, no, I don't agree with that.
But what they are talking about is a contingency plan, because the business has created so much friction that now it's because of divorce. So it's they're not actually talking about personal stuff like pets. So I agree to disagree, and we covered that earlier about the fact that you need to walk into business first understanding your partner, walking in understanding also that both of you guys, that's the beauty, because you could have a partnership with somebody else even that's not your spouse, and you're still going to have the same problems that arise when you don't see things eye to eye. You may have the same vision and mission, but you want to do it one way and the other person wants to do it another. That's going to happen. So you got to walk into business. If you're going in business with your spouse, you have to be able to understand that you're not always going to agree, and you're going to have different opinions when it comes to certain things. Agreed? Agreed. Next one, and then we got to go to break. Delegate responsibilities. Play to your individual strengths. Now, I agree with that. We were talking about that earlier. The one thing that I recognized was Trish was good with sales. She was good with dealing with people. I was, but am not anymore. I was a huge introvert. I hope nobody dropped their false teeth or something. The studio just shook. I was a huge introvert, and to me, it was really difficult for a long time to be able to deal with people. This is normal at the office. So at the beginning, Trish was a person that was the face of the company, and I was the one that I used my strengths. My background was in branding and marketing and web design and all these different things. So what I told Trish when we first got in business is I will design and build things that'll make it easy for you to sell. And we still kind of do it that way, but today I'm more out there doing the dealing with customers as well as Trish. So together we have grown in what we're doing, and that is important too. But with that, we're going to take a quick break.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity in our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
And welcome back. In this episode of The Gloves Are Off, we are here, both myself, Grant Browning, and I have Trish Browning, who is here with me, and she is my wife, who's looking at me like I'm absolutely nuts. This is a normal thing in the office. It's cool. Don't worry. I'm used to it now. It's good. And today we're talking about couple-preneurs, and we are going to talk about 6 keys to actually helping you have success as a couple in business. So right now, for the last 45 minutes, we have been going through a couple articles that were published on Forbes about couple-preneurs and what your do's and don'ts are. And before we went to break, we were talking about delegating responsibilities and playing your individual roles. The next one they talk about is money. Try to get outside financing. Do not tap into the family savings. Also, get a third-party accountant or bookkeeper to handle the bills and accounts. The person should present their monthly activities and findings to both of you. I disagree. Here's why. The more stress that you could put on a relationship is by creating more debt. And when I say debt, the number one thing that I can say is if you are building and you are serious about building your business, do not incur personal debt. You can build business through like debt for business, but do not go. I would suggest you do not own a house. You rent a house. Use that money to invest it in your business, because essentially when you buy a house, you have to put $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 down to as a down payment on your house. You can essentially take that money, and what would $30,000, $40,000, or $50,000 do for your business? The number one thing that I would say is if you are building a business, try and build it as much as you can through generating funds, generating your own stuff. To me, it's like if you were a weightlifter and if you were taking steroids as an enhancement, as a quick way of doing things, that essentially is cheating. And it's the same thing with business. I believe that you should be able to self-generate your funds. You should be able to start small and start building. When we first started our business started with a crappy old computer. And I told Trish, I said, don't worry, I know how to build websites. And that's how we started. And from there, we gained more profit, and I bought something else. And we gained more profit, and we bought something else. And then we gained more profit, and so on and so forth. But if you go and you get venture capital or go and get a loan to try and start start your business when you have no clue how that business, first off, is going to go out, how the industry is going to take your business. Essentially, that as a couple would give you more stress than the other way around. And there was times, and I'm sorry, I know you had something to say, there was times where we struggled because we had no money, but we made sure that the business finances came first, the business expenses came first, and today it's a result of what it is.
Well, if you think about it this way, if you went out and you got $10 or $15 or $20,000 on a personal loan and you put that into your business and you're now starting up and it takes a while for anything to start working out for you. So, the next day you wake up, all you can think about is, how am I going to make that minimum payment on that loan? And instead of being motivated to get creative to make the money that you need to maybe buy a $1,000 computer, your focus is, how am I going to make that payment? How am I going to make that payment? How am I going to make that payment? So you, instead of getting creative and generating money, you're just worried about the payment.
And the thing is, too, is the number one mistake most business owners make, whether you're single in business or you're in as a couple, is you focus on making money. If you do the opposite, if you focus on making a difference, if you focus on getting that product out, a quality product, focus on the marketing and getting to people to get that stuff out, the money will come. But the problem is that so many people get into it, and a lot of times with a job mentality, they come in and they expect, if I trade an hour, I should get $1.
Yeah,
people never works like that. Never.
A lot of people think it's instant results. So if I'm going to do this today, I'm going to see tomorrow that it's making a difference, and it's not like that. It takes time. It really does take time.
Yep. Now, next thing they talk about is work versus life. I'd love to advise. I don't have my glasses.
Do you want me to read it?
I'd love to advise you to separate your work from your private life, but how does that happen? Maybe just honor each other's requests. If one of you says that you need a little time off, that's okay. I agree with that. That I agree with. Because the thing is that, and I've done that before, Trish is very different from me. I will sacrifice sleep if I got something in up here. if I'm the determination kicks in, or if somebody decides they're going to try and compete with us or whatever, that is where the fighter comes out, and I will lose sleep. I will do whatever it takes to get things done. Where Trish, on the other hand, doesn't have that time demand and investment that needs to be done, so she'll take a break sometimes. But then there's times where I will work, today I'm exhausted, but we've been going for how many weeks straight, and I'll look at Trish and I'll say, I need a day off. End of story. And she's like, cool, you want to take it with us, or do you want to do it by yourself? And either way, she's fine with it. So yes, respect each other and understand that sometimes other people need more time than the other.
Like me, I need more time off.
This one I do not agree with is don't drink your own Kool-Aid. And basically this little paragraph talks about not believing in your product and not using your product, and not actually getting so committed and obsessed with what you're doing. And I disagree with that 100%. The next one is know when to bail. And they're talking about it, if it causes issues, you need to know when to bail. I totally agree to disagree, and the reason why is I'm the type of person that integrity is a huge thing for me, and commitment. I try 100% to follow through on all my commitments and arrangements. And the thing is that if it causes stress in your relationship, then you need to stop and figure out how you can fix it. You don't run away from things. And I just like that. It's the same thing with marriage. I don't believe that to this day and age, you see little billboards that are strapped to telephone poles that are out there that says, get a divorce for $400. I don't agree with that. You made a commitment. Figure out how you can fix it, especially if you have kids involved. You make sure you figure that shit out. Straight up. You figure it out. I agree. Sometimes you can grow distant, but you figure out how to rekindle that and bring it together. And maybe you got to bring a third person in or something like that.
Oh my goodness! Did you really?
I'm kidding.
There's no editing to this kind of stuff that you say.
Yeah, no, people are watching. It's all good. We're taking
You
applications.
are so outrageous.
Well, you got to have humor in a relationship, and we'll just leave it at that. So, with that, we have 6 minutes left. I want to make sure now that we give our version from experience, and I'm talking experience, on how to run a successful business as a couple. Here's...
Well, we should say this is what works for us. It may not work for everyone.
Did you not hear the disclaimer at the beginning?
Okay, it may not work for everyone, but this is what works for us. And you may not agree, you may agree or you may not agree, or maybe bits and pieces is what works for you. And that's why we do the show, to inspire people, to show them that, there's people doing it. Yes, it's not easy, but you find a way to deal with it. You might learn something that you can implement in your own life that will help you, cross a hurdle a little bit easier.
Or you get that third person involved and you have lots of fun. So... Anyway, so here's our 6 keys to success as a couple. The number one thing that I will agree with is you need to have the same vision and mission, but both personally and professionally. That's where I would add it in. Because the thing is that if you become business partners and you're also spouses, you obviously need to have personal and professional goals to be able to do this. It's not just one day you say, hey, let's get into business together. It's because you want to accomplish something. Keeping those goals and dreams in front of you is key. You got to find those goals and dreams, have the same visions, have the same missions, and work forward on it. If you do that, it makes the struggles a lot easier because you both are focused on a end result, the light at the end of the tunnel. Number 2, position roles best suited for each other. She likes it one way, I like it the other way.
Are you seriously going to keep going with this?
I'm kidding. Finance is a key thing. I know we had touched on it before. That was one thing that as much as Trish did the sales, she used to look at me and she says, I can't take care of the finances because it stresses me out. So I took that role on. Understand your roles. Understand there's no ego involved when especially if you're a couple in business. There is no way that you can bring your ego in here and say, well, I'm just not going to do that. I'm not cleaning the toilets. I'm not cleaning the floors, whatever. Until you can afford to pay someone to do that, you're cleaning those toilets. You're going to look after your finances. You're going to do whatever it takes to get your business out there. Number 3, both of you must understand the commitment. 100%. You guys got to know what you're going into. It's the same thing as when you go up and you take your vows because you understand the commitment. You guys say for better, for worse, through sickness and health. If you knock her off or... Sorry. This is overtired. Anyways, you guys have to understand the commitment. Number 4, open communication. You guys got to be able to take the time out and discuss where you guys want to go, what's happening. Discuss with your family. If you guys are now older and you have kids, especially as your kids are getting older, they're not going to understand necessarily the time commitment because they're going to want to be able to spend time maybe doing soccer, karate, going out and playing with their friends, but instead they got to be helping. And I see this all the time, especially when I go into businesses. A lot of times the kids are frustrated because they have to be at the restaurant or the business or whatever because both parents are there. But if the parents know and you reward them, reward your kids. So, like, hey, you know what, guys? I understand, you guys have been with us for so long. Let's take a day off and we go to Niagara. Let's take a day off. We go to Marineland, Canada's Wonderland. What do you guys want to do? Even a simple thing like going out to the movies once in a while. But get everybody on the same page, have open communication. Number 5, learn personal ego control. No fighting in front of your employees.
So Grant Browning is going to have to start practicing this starting Monday.
Anyways, the gloves are off.
No ego control. That's what the topic is right now.
Understand personal control. Understand to control your ego. Your ego has no place in your business, and especially when it comes to internally, whether it's with your employees or with your spouse that you are now in business with. Your ego you got to check it at the door. Otherwise, you're going to screw your business up, and you will screw your marriage up too. The number 6, which should be the opposite way, number 1, you need to have personal and professional development. There is no way that you will be able to grow in business and personally if you don't plug into something and start reading books and listening to people that are professionals at what they do. Understand, you're a professional at one thing, but you are not a professional at being in business together as a couple. This is probably the number 1 secret that we have ever used to be able to get through things, is to personal develop. We have read books on personalities, on how people act, on psychology, on business in general, but just the psychology part and understanding different personalities has helped Trish understand me and me understand her. So that way, when we were in business and we got into situations, I understood that this is the way she reacts. This is the way that she's going to respond, and vice versa.
Or even how to play on our strengths and weaknesses, because what my strengths are innately and what my weaknesses are, what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. So we were able to tailor the things that we do here, which we focus on my strengths, and things that I'm not good at, we have found someone to step in and start dealing with, certain things. Like, I'm not good at details, so I don't handle certain things. Or I'm not good at writing.
No comments.
Or I'm not good at writing, so I don't write anything anymore.
That's where Alyssa comes in.
No, but at the beginning I did. Remember our first edition, I wrote articles? Remember?
Strengths and weaknesses, guys. Strengths and weaknesses. So to recap, number 1, have the same vision and mission both professionally and personally. Number 2, position roles best suited for each other. Number 3, both must understand the time commitment, the commitment that you're going to put into this, whether it's financially or time-wise. Number 4, open communication. Number 5, learn personal ego control, and definitely no fighting in front of your employees. And number 6, personal and professional development, which actually I would say is the most important and should be number 1. Personal and professional development. Find people. If you guys want to know some of the people we follow, I'd be more than happy to let you know. Hit me up personally. Please subscribe to the channel. Please leave your comments below. I will be more than happy to get back to you. You can follow me on Instagram at
Grant Browning.
No, G Browning 101.
Okay.
You can follow Trish as well. If you're on YouTube, all our contacts are on there. If you're on Facebook, just look me up, Grant Browning or Trish Browning, and you will be able to get in contact with us. This has been another edition.
So share the video if you like it. If you think it's going to add value to someone's life, subscribe to the page. What else?
Love us.
And have a great weekend.
Tell everybody about us.
Hey, our anniversary's tomorrow. Do we sing happy anniversary? Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Chelsea still doesn't know my sense of humor. But anyways, the one thing I want to say is, first off, be sure you keep it locked. Tomorrow we are live from CareFest in Orangeville. We'll be doing some live coverage from there. Come on out and support if you can. It's at the Orangeville Taste of Orangeville. It's up in Orangeville. TCN will be there. Both myself and Chelsea, who's going to be the opposite way. I'm going to be controlling the camera. She's on the camera, and she's going to be talking in the mics. And please, you guys also saw the commercials going. We have started our promotions. We've already got our first speaker signed for the Toronto Caribbean Business Social. That is next year, May 6th. It's a Sunday, 2018. We have special pricing right now, early bird pricing if you want to become an exhibitor and you want to get a booth. We also have half-price tickets that are going on sale this week coming for the event itself. You don't want to miss it. Last year we had Maestro, this year, whatever. The last event we had Maestro Fresh West, we had Mishi Me, we had Daniel Lewis, we had a bunch of different speakers that came in, and they left a huge impact. People were like just stunned at the information that was there. So don't miss this one coming up. You got ample time. Please make sure that you get your tickets, or if you're a vendor, contact 647-722-6298 and you'll speak to the sales genius right here. And what'd you want to say? Because I know you're
I was just going to go say, our business is our life and our life is our business. And even though tomorrow is our wedding anniversary, our 11th wedding anniversary, not 12.
Yeah, 11 years, but we've been together 12 years.
Yeah. So I don't expect anything special. I don't expect a dinner.
Hint, nudge, nudge.
No.
What are you talking about?
No. Truthfully,
we're gonna have lunch in front of the truck. So.
Yes, truthfully, I don't expect to dial out and be like, well, it's our wedding anniversary. We need to plan something special. Because we don't. We spend time all the time. But I do expect flowers because that is the one thing that you've always done. And if I don't get a bouquet of flowers, then I will be upset. But working all day tomorrow does not bother me because that's just what we do.
I'm going to get some plastic flowers. They last longer. Anyways, guys, and with that, we are out. Thank you so much for watching the episode. I hope you got something from it. If you guys need to get a hold of us, please do subscribe to the channel or like the fan page, and please share the message out. Until next week, have an awesome weekend.
Bye.